Hello, this is Dr. Paul Cottrell, and I'm going to go over the updates of the war between Israel and Hamas. I have the live feed for Al Jazeera and France 24 English right now. So we're going to play this, but let me just do just a recap of what happened over the weekend and last night. The Israeli forces have bifurcated Gaza now. So there's now there's they're more in control of the northern front. They haven't done the clean sweep yet, but they're surrounding. So they bifurcated the north and the south, right? And then they're surrounding Gaza City. Now there has been evidence that has been shown by the IDF that they have been building hospitals on top of tunnels, not just digging tunnels underneath hospitals, but literally from 2010 were constructing tunnel systems before they actually laid the foundation of the hospitals. I believe this particular one was the Indonesian hospital. And they're using NGO money to do this. Now, there's another hospital that was funded by the Qataris that also has an extensive tunnel system and a launching pad next to it. All right. So there is no doubt 100% that the Israelis attacking these hospitals are legitimate targets. The sad thing is that the Palestinian people allowed this to happen. Now there are probably parts of the Palestinian people, there are a subset of the Palestinian people, maybe 30%, that didn't want them to do this, but they didn't have the power to overthrow Hamas. But then you have, the majority, 70%, maybe a little less, but the majority that allowed it to happen and maybe wanted it to happen. So, the reality of the situation is the Palestinians need to overthrow Hamas. They should have been overthrowing Hamas for years. They've been preparing for this attack on Israel for years, right? And it wasn't just, just build rockets and shoot. They were building infrastructure as, there were minor conflicts that were happening over the years in recent years. Normally each year there's like a few rockets here, a few rockets there, right? Usually they get shot down. But they were building, over the last 15 years, they were building infrastructure, serious infrastructure, and launching infrastructure for these rocket systems right next to hospitals. So anyone that says that Israel are war criminals because they're attacking hospitals, they're not paying attention to how embedded, how entrenched, how entangled Hamas is within the civilian population. But again, the civilian population should have overthrown Hamas. There are more civilians than Hamas. But the thing is, they don't really care about their country. They say they care, but they're not willing to fight for it. All right, let's, with that said, I still don't know the new IDF casualty count. My understanding, deaths are at 25 still, but I suspect that it's higher. I just don't know the number. And I'm working with the number of about 9,200, 9,300 deaths in Palestine. I'm sure it's higher than that. That's just the numbers that I know at this moment.
This war, some are taking sides, others are just keeping quiet, waiting to see which way things go. But Israel and Palestine both have a long history, a long complicated history on the African continent. Israel, for example, it helped many countries end white colonial rule. They also are helping countries now with intelligence, agriculture, technology, etc., where Palestine helped countries also end colonial rule as well. So all those ties are playing out, presenting a mixed bag on the continent. That's why right now you're seeing a lot of mixed sides on the continent, and right now one or two countries saying they're recalling their ambassadors from Israel because of the current war.
Okay, thanks so much for that update. That is Haru Matassa for us in Harare. Well, 3 children and their grandmother have been killed after an Israeli strike targeted a civilian car in southern Lebanon. Their mother is severely injured. Lebanon's foreign minister says the country will submit a complaint to the UN over the killing of civilians. Hezbollah said its fighters fired rockets into Israel in response. An Israeli civilian was killed in a northern Israeli town. The Israeli army claimed it hit a vehicle identified as a suspected transport for terrorists. Zaina Holler has more details from Beirut.
The statement by the Israeli army saying that they believe that they were acting upon intelligence, that that car was carrying what they are calling terrorists. But they did kill 3 children, including their grandmother. Hezbollah, which on Friday, the Secretary General Hassan Nasrallah promised that any civilian killed in Lebanon.
Now, this could have been a failed intelligence, and they kill the family. Maybe. All right. But here's the backstory. All right. So this happened last night. Israel fired into Lebanon, a city near the border. There were 2 cars. One car had 3 children, a grandmother, and the mother. The other car, my understanding, was the father. The father is a journalist. Now, a journalist normally, I don't know if he had a crew with him, but, and equipment, but it could have been, I don't know. I'm just saying, what are some of the probabilities? It could have been failed intelligence thinking that this journalist, especially if he had crew members with him, but I don't think he did have crew members with him, this journalist may have been carrying weapons, and that the other car was the shield, the civilian shield or the family shield. Because don't think that these terrorists are just using civilians, but they'll shield with their families. I mean, look at what happened with bin Laden. I mean, bin Laden used his wife as a shield while the special Wild SEAL team came in to kill him. So, I mean, they'll use their family as shields if they have to. All right. But, we don't really know the full story here yet. So did Israel kill some of these family members? Because my understanding is that the wife survived, but is injured. Now, Israel has been targeting some of the journalists. The question is why? What is the reason? Is it that they just want to pop off journalists? Or is it that the journalists are part of the terrorist apparatus? Don't think, you have step back and just look at what are the possibilities. And, this could have been failed intelligence and they shot people they shouldn't have shot, right? Okay, and it could have been failed intelligence and Israel hit the wrong target. All right, that's possible. And you got to remember, they have thousands of targets going on, right? And at any given moment, deciding or not deciding to hit, right? So there's going to be mistakes that are made in war. This could have been one of them, right? But they may have been targeting him for a reason. Now, Israel has a tendency to hit these, these terrorists, high level and mid level, pretty well. So let's just wait and let's see what Israel has to say. Again, when the hospital hit happened, I was thinking at first, this is probably a missed target, that it was a target that shouldn't have been on the list and they accidentally hit it. And then they come out with all this information that the terrorists were in the hospital shooting out of the window to the IDF forces that were on the ground. and probably was special forces. I don't think it was regular infantry. But the thing is, they're trying to seek out these tunnel systems, and they're taking fire from the windows of the hospital. Well, why are there people with guns in the hospital? Why is Hamas in the hospital hanging guns out the window? I thought the hospital was all civilian. It's not all civilian. That's the problem. All right. But there was a knee-jerk reaction by the mainstream media and by all these ultra-liberal, pro-Palestinian, anti-Israeli, anti-Jew protests, and not getting all the facts. Well, the facts are very clear now that these hospitals are military targets. The reason being because they have a tunnel system right under the hospital. There's unequivocal proof on this. All right. This situation with the 3 children being killed and the grandmother and the journalist that's behind, because I don't think she said the journalist yet, but I cut her off, so maybe she didn't tell the full story. But I'll play it again. There must have been a reason why that they were targeting that guy. Don't be surprised that the journalists are embedded with Hezbollah or Hamas. The terrorist apparatus is entangled into the society. So it's like, well, he's a journalist. Well, he may have been forward intel for the terrorists. Who knows? But it could have been an accident. It could have been an accident. But I don't know. Most likely there's a deeper story to this.
Well, we responded with an attack in Israel, killing a civilian. So he established, if you like, that equation. And what Hezbollah did was fire a barrage of rockets that targeted the Israeli town of Kiryat Shmona. But both sides really understand the repercussions or the consequences of expanding the conflict in southern Lebanon. Nasrallah made clear that all options are on the table on the northern front. The Israelis keep on saying that we do not want war, but we will be ready for war.
Music, theatre and art have long been used as tools for therapy in Gaza. For 17 years, international schools have been helping students living under an Israeli air, sea and land blockade. Teachers say the war is a catastrophic setback for those who spent years building their talent and confidence. Laura Khan reports.
The Palestinian kids never give up, and we will achieve our dream.
These messages of hope from 3 pupils from Gaza, Yara, Rafah and Malak, were filmed in Belfast last year.
Let's go and look in a different place.
They were involved in an education theatre project that connects hundreds of children with teachers from around the world. That was before the war started.
The Ministry of Health is receiving calls about those missing. This number has reached 2,660, including 1,270 children under the rubble.
Now, contact has been lost with Yara and all of their homes have been destroyed.
A lot of people, we just don't know where they are. UNRWA staff have been killed. Ministry of Education staff have been killed. The Islamic University, which is one of the places which trains, main place which trains teachers in Gaza, has been bombed. It's a disaster. I really don't have any words for describing the impact this is going to have.
It keeps on going back to what I said before. You kick the can down the road for 50 years. This is what's going to happen. You got to root out terrorism. Hezbollah, Hamas, and Iran need to be completely destroyed. Anything less is going to be more of a problem down the road. And the risks of unconventional warfare are escalating.
The UN says nearly 250 schools have been bombed, while hundreds of thousands of people made homeless. It says schools are not a target. Another Palestinian music arts company has also now changed course. From training musicians and amplifying their voices in concerts and music videos to this.
I decided to record this video as you now can hear the rockets.
They still have hope, and they still have dreams, and they still want to think of a brighter future where they can write music and write songs and perform it to the whole and present Palestine, because it is a place, as ugly as the circumstances are in Gaza, especially now, it is a place that is full of beauty and full of creativity.
As bombs turn buildings to rubble, diggers start what people finish.
I don't think humans on Earth are so bad. I'm lucky.
The teachers say they hope to see these children again, but also that the war is a devastating setback for those who survive. Laura Khan, Al Jazeera.
Let's bring back in Tamer Kamut, Professor of Public Policy, Doha Institute for Graduate Studies. I want to talk a little bit about the...
You got so many of these people, and I don't even know what he's going to say. I don't know this jackass. But you have so many people in regional studies. These schools that are pumping out, and even, you know, the elite ones like Harvard and Yale, right? You got all these people, but for 50 fucking years, diplomacy didn't work. Because the thing is, this is not something that can be managed in some sort of Westphalian way by the UN and by a bunch of NGOs. The NGO money is being used to make the hospitals above the damn tunnel. They are part of the problem. The UN NGOs are part of the problem. They helped Hamas. So you got all these fucking assholes giving their educated opinion on how it's supposed to happen. It's very simple. Kill the fucking terrorists and get the job done.
And the issues that they're facing, having to shut down the Indonesian hospital because it's run out of fuel, Al Shifa Hospital having to suspend many of its services because it's running out of power. At the same time, the Secretary of State for the United States has been in Turkey.
That's the Qatar one. The run that's running out of power. My understanding is the Qataris were the ones that funded that. And oh, by the way, that's where the rocket launch pads were. I wonder why they were running out of fuel.
Into a broader conflict. But as the situation continues to get worse inside Gaza, surely that becomes more of a possibility now. That this could spread from, you know, Israel, Gaza to the wider region.
So Tom, I mean,
of course it's going to. It keeps on. I'm telling you, guys, wake up. It's going back to the temple borders. This is going to be a multi-front war in the region, and it's going to escalate possibly worldwide, where it's going to be 3 theaters: the European theater, the Middle Eastern theater, and the Asian theater. And oh, by the way, how this is all going to play out, the United States is going to fuck up so bad that we're going to actually see the fall of the U.S. empire, just like how the UK saw the fall of their empire during World War I.
This spreading the wider conflict, yes, it is. But so far, the recent position by Hezbollah leaders to more or less indicate that Hezbollah is there, and it will continue with its policy of measured response based on the Israeli escalation as well. So this does not hint that there will be a regional conflict so far. But
you don't think we've reached that tipping point yet?
Not yet. But it depends.
They're all thinking like they're all trying to figure this out as a chess game. Like it's human guided. It's not human guided. This is divine guided, because the world is too liberal. The world has fallen from grace. the world does not follow the precepts of the major religions to allow for peace to exist. This ultra-liberal wokeism that has permeated the world now is the existential threat. Now, there's going to be, there are, the terrorists are a means for God to use as a reflection on us to realize that we are not following precepts. And so anyone that's trying to humanly do the chess match on this, they're going to fail because our intelligence level is so low compared to the divine. It doesn't even compare. You can't. The guy, and so what seems to be is not. And there's going to be continued examples, data points, for the ones that are sensitive can see immediately, but the ones that are not sensitive, you need 10,000 examples because you're stupid, all right? But the ones that are sensitive, they can see it very early on. And each one of these examples are showing how that ultra-liberal mindset and wokeism and the destruction of the family unit and the killing of the children in the womb because of abortions is eating its tail. God's showing you the fallacies of the ultra-liberal. And I don't care how smart you are. I don't care if this guy's from Doha Institute of International Study. It doesn't fucking matter. For 50 fucking years or more, we've been kicking the can down the road, and it's time to get it done. Iran needs to be completely destroyed.
Involved in Gaza. The Israelis have surrounded Gaza now. They have cut the north from the south. We see the reports now coming on hospitals now being shut down, and now I don't know what will be the fate of thousands of patients who are stuck there, and how will they be transferred to a safe area if that's Israel's wish. So if things go so bad for Israel and we see more of these crimes, maybe, I would say maybe this would escalate the conflict, because Iran and Hezbollah are not in a comfortable position as well, and they're tired from watching this massacring happening without any international condemnation under the watch of the international community. So it's a possibility, but not now, not in the foreseeable future. I mean, but it could happen. But when it comes to the dire situation in the Strip, I mean, this requires immediate attention by the UN, by the ICC. They should. That's the time to step in and stop this from happening. I've never seen this happening anywhere in the world. Hospitals being shut down. Yeah, cut from electricity, cut from fuel. Israel has crossed all the lines here. I mean, this is not human. This is not human.
And despite that, they're seemingly able to do that without too many repercussions. I mean, we've seen joint statements and people calling for a ceasefire, but that hasn't happened. Nothing's changed,
but
has it?
This brings me to Blinken's visit. I mean, obviously, on the top of his agenda was just one thing: buying more time for Israel. The rest is marginal. It's even he did not leave
graduate studies
with a commitment from Israel
from Doha. All right, I haven't heard anything that graduate about this guy. Let me tell you a little bit of history about American Civil War. This guy, General Sherman, he got the fucking job done. You know how he got the fucking job done? He said, you know what? I'm not going to use a supply line. I'm going to live off the fucking land, and so they can't cut my supplies. I'm going to march right to fucking the land, and I'm going to burn the fucking thing down. That's what he did, and that's how the Civil War fucking ended. That's the problem that we have. We have a bunch of talking heads from Doha and all of these international community experts, regional experts, NGOs, Amnesty International, the UN, politicians that want to make sure that they get reelected. They don't want to get the job done. You got to take a page out of history. And when you're in war, it's total war. And you destroy them. And oh, by the way, it worked. Sherman, that's the way it happened. That's the way to do it. Kill Hamas, kill Hezbollah, kill Iran. If anyone that thinks otherwise is a dipshit.
Nothing. Everything is still under speculation. So it's such an utter failure for the US because it decided to put itself in this narrow position, give blind support to Israel, no question whatsoever. The US's image and reputation worldwide has been damaged so.
He's trying to use human logic. This thing is God is showing us.
Make it look good. I mean, so I don't think
God is showing us the evilness of mankind and the failure that we've had, and we let the cancer to metastasize. This is not just in the Middle East. This is in Europe now. This is in the United States. The elevated risk for another 9/11 or cafe bombings like we saw in the 90s, in the late 80s, right? That's an elevated risk now. You know why? Because we didn't demonize terrorists. You know what we do? We have a bunch of woke fucks that are in universities applauding Hamas, not condemning Hamas, applauding. I wonder what the blue-haired ultra-liberals would say about Sherman. And you know what is so odd? All right, and everyone that watches my channel knows that my great-great-great-grandfather fought in the Civil War on the Union side, all right? And I have a very long history in my family of service to country and fighting in many of the wars, all right? And, you know, if we lose our history, we are doomed to repeat it. And what happened just recently? They took the statue of General Lee, all right? Again, I have the mindset of the Union forces as the good guys, right? Right? The ones that won the Civil War, right? But the Confederates lost, and they were the bad guys, all right? But we need to maintain the history. We cannot whitewash it. And so what do? They took the General Lee statue, and it was supposed to be put into a museum or in storage. And they secretly sold it and melted it down to turn it into some sort of inclusive art that hasn't been revealed yet. So I don't think it's on the metaphysical world plane here, right? Even though there were a lot of atrocities from the Confederate side, right? You know, with slavery and, you know, the plantations and all this, right? We have to maintain an understanding of what happened during the Civil War. I mean, my father, you know, now he's in a nursing home dying, right? But, you know, slowly, you know, through ischemic dementia. But, you know, when we were kids, you know, he was a big history buff, right? You know, my father really enjoyed history and especially the Civil War. So when we were kids, we went to many of the battlefields, and, you know, my father read a lot about the Civil War. I'm surprised he never wrote a book about it. And he was a speaker at museums and, you know, little lecture circuits locally about Abraham Lincoln. So he focused on Abraham Lincoln and the Civil War, all right? And he had a very strong interest in Gettysburg, but he knew a lot about all the other battles, right? So I saw a lot of the battlefields when I was a kid because of my father's interest in the Civil War. So, you know, we would vacation to all these battlefields. So I have a strong sense of history, but I think that there are a lot of people that don't have that. And so when you're whitewashing the history, when you're taking down statues and melting them down, you don't understand the other side's perspective, so we learn from it. And so now we have inclusive art from the metal that was melted down of General Lee. And that just happened. So it's, even though it doesn't seem like it's connected to Israel and the Temple Mount and all this, it's indicative of what's going on with mankind. And that is this ultra-liberal whitewashing history, not paying attention to it, not understanding the Bible at all, right? Not showing respect to the precepts of the Bible and the Torah. And mankind is being shown the fallacy of this logic, this fallacy of this ultra-liberal whitewashing of history. You're seeing it, mark my words, in the near future, you're going to have a black constituency that's also tied to these ultra-liberals that are white, trying to bring down George Washington's statue that's facing NYSE on Wall Street. All right. So there's the Federal Hall building and George Washington's right there. They're going to try to take that down. Some places have already taken down Thomas Jefferson. Where does this stop? Because what it is that they're going to say, these people wanted slavery. These people are white. There's a whitewashing. And then what will happen is you're going to have a bunch of stupid ass homosexual art all over the place from the metal that they melt away. I'm telling you, the world is being judged. We have drifted away from the precepts of the Bible. We have drifted away from the precepts of the Torah. There's not enough people following, the teachings in Christianity, and there's just not enough people are following the teachings of the Torah. And we're having a world that's going straight to hell. And there is a self-correction that takes place from the divine. A lot of killing is going to happen, but it will reach a new steady state of peace and prosperity. But we're all at fault on this. All of us. You, I, everybody. Collectively. There's a collective curse that's going on. But there's going to also be blessing, individual blessing and a collective blessing for certain people as this entanglement gets unraveled, right? We can't whitewash history. We also have to make sure that we understand the good and the bad of what Israel has done. We have to understand the good and the bad of what Ishmael and Esau has done. We have to understand that people have a core set of attributes that are kind of the ingredients of their soul. It doesn't change much. There's a core. It's like hard-coded, right? And there are different attributes. But some people have a lot of this Ishmael and Esau attribute. And the more you have of it, the more animalistic you are. And this has been brought down for thousands of years. And we're seeing it playing out right now. But it's easy to be a liberal in an ivory tower, because, saying, oh, just give peace a chance. Oh, we have to bring in some sort of UN peace treaty agreement and all this. And none of them addresses the problem with the Temple Mount. I'm telling you, this whole thing is about the temple and the Messianic era. But the liberals don't want to hear that because that means ultimate judging on them. If they don't change their ways, that's an ultimate judge, because their ways are antithetical to the precepts of the Bible and the Torah. That's where this is all going.
Turkey gave to Blinken. I mean, so it's obviously there is a rift growing between the U.S. and its key allies in the region, be it Turkey, be it Arab countries, everyone. I mean, enough is enough. They're fed up with what they see, the lack of action by the U.S., the inability of Blinken to enforce anything. He's just supporting the Israeli narrative, the Israeli policies, tactics, and he doesn't have anything meaningful, to give to these countries.
You said that Blinken's trying to buy more time for Israel. For them to do what? To keep doing exactly what they're doing.
But so far, the Israelis have not been able to achieve any substantial, let's say, military gain or winning. I mean, yes, they went inside the Gaza Strip. They entered the buffer zone areas, but they haven't been able to
penetrate. It's day 30. They just started going in with their troops to seek and destroy the tunnel system. It's going to take months. And they're going to decapitate the Palestinian government.
Gaza City. And the real battle is in Gaza City. So if you're not there, there's no victory to brag about. And this is not going to be a picnic for Israel for sure, because Hamas is also ready. So.
Okay, thank you so much, Tamer. Tamer Kamud for us yet again. Thank you. Well, there's plenty still ahead on Al Jazeera, including Ukraine launches a criminal investigation after a Russian missile strike reportedly killed at least 20 of its soldiers.
So let's go. I want to play I-2024.
Esta semana en News 24, Israel bajo ataque. News 24 en español trae el análisis y la información de los acontecimientos de la guerra Espadas de Hierro.
Entrevistas exclusivas, reportes desde la zona de guerra, la reacción de los países hispanoparlantes.
News 24, el único medio en español que te mantiene informado y conectado con la comunidad latina en Israel. News 24 únicamente en I-24 News.
Telling you, total war.
Of these pauses. Second, it's important.
Responsibility which covers the Middle East. Meanwhile, the CIA chief reportedly arrived in Israel and will meet his Israeli. Said that one elderly were brutally tortured and murdered on October 7th in southern Israel. We begin with a surprising announcement by the Pentagon. The U.S. military said that one of its nuclear submarines arrived to the region on Sunday in the U.S. Central Command Area of Responsibility, which covers the Middle East. Meanwhile, the CIA
nuclear sub. I keep on telling you, this thing is going to go unconventional. And the borders are going back to the Temple times, and there's going to be a lot of death and destruction. It's not just going to be in the Middle East. I'm telling you, this is fucking going. This is going fucking full bore. And it needs to. It needs to, because it's going to be worse if we kick the can down the road. Iran needs to be completely fucking destroyed.
Reportedly arrived in Israel and will meet his Israeli counterparts later today. This follows the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken's visit to the region, including a trip to Israel, Jordan, the Palestinian Authority, Turkey, and Iraq. Blinken continued to stress the need for a humanitarian pause. Let's have a listen.
Israel's raised important questions about how humanitarian pauses would work. We've got to answer answer those questions. We're working on exactly that. In fact, we agreed that our teams would get together, and they're doing just that.
You know what? You know, he should have said. You know, how do we prevent Hamas digging back in, recharging, you know, their batteries for rockets, refueling them, stealing the aid, and preparing for a ground invasion when the IDF decides to do it. Instead of hee-hawing around going, you know, we're trying to, you know, deal with their worries. Why doesn't he just say it? I mean, the world knows. You know, this is the thing I have a problem with politicians, even though he's Jewish. It's only half measure, because, you know, they're trying to balance all these things, but the largest weighted balance isn't doing the right thing. It's making sure that their constituency stays happy, so they stay in power, so they're reelected. A ceasefire isn't going to work, and it's only going to postpone the inevitable, and that is the absolute fucking destruction of Hamas.
Through the specifics, the practicalities of these pauses. Second, it's important that the pause advance a number of things. One of them is hostages. We are intensely focused, the United States, Israel, every other country that has one of its citizens being held hostage by Hamas, to bring them home.
There are 241 hostages currently held in captivity by Hamas in Gaza. Over 30 of them are children and babies. Following the humanitarian corridor, which was provided for citizens of Gaza yesterday, the IDF resumed operations and airstrikes in Gaza and announced that the Gaza Strip is now divided into north and south, urging again all citizens to evacuate safely to the south. Meanwhile, a short while ago, rocket fire into Israel resumed. The IDF announced the name of yet another Israeli soldier killed in combat in Gaza, First Sergeant Shachar Cohen. In the north, Hezbollah launched a barrage of rockets into the city of Kiryat Shmona, killing one Israeli civilian. This follows an IDF strike on a vehicle on the Lebanese side of the border, killing 3 people. Jordan airdropped medical assistance to the Jordanian field hospital in Gaza. This move was reportedly coordinated with Israel. The IDF has opened a humanitarian corridor to evacuate civilians to the southern Gaza Strip as its air and ground offensive continues. According to the IDF, the Strip is now divided into north and south as IDF forces reached the Gaza coast on Sunday. Let's have a listen.
Now think about what they just did. Think about by bifurcating Gaza. Now there's a north and a south, and the IDF is controlling and surrounding the northern front, right? Resupplying Hamas is going to be extremely difficult, and they are doing the right thing. Unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of civilians that didn't get out of the way, right? But they're doing the right thing. That the only way that they're going to be able to get resupplied is through a tunnel system from the south to the north that the Israelis haven't cut off
yet. I am currently standing on the Salah ad-Din Road south of Zaytun neighborhood. On Sunday, we opened the Salah ad-Din Road as a humanitarian corridor for civilians on the northern Gaza Strip. I ask again that all civilians of the northern Gaza Strip move south of the Valley Gaza. The northern Gaza Strip and Gaza City are a war zone, a very dangerous area. The criminal Hamas terrorist organization are using you as human shields. Move south of Valley Gaza. We're facilitating humanitarian aid to the area of South Valley Gaza.
Joining us now is retired IDF colonel and director of the International Institute for Counterterrorism at Brighteon University, Mili Eisen. Thank you for joining. Hi, can you please tell us about the CIA chief visiting Israel? This comes after a series of top U.S. official visits. What is the meaning of all of this?
We're at this stage that the international community that I'd say at the forefront, the United States of America, are trying to, what I'm going to call, contain this conflict, meaning it's only Israel against the Hamas terrorists in the Gaza Strip, and they're trying to contain it, both from spreading to Hezbollah, where it already exists, but at a lower level, let alone for it to spread further to the different Shiite proxies that...
No. This is what it is. The cancer has already spread in the region. We just don't want to cut it out. In Lebanon, in Syria, in Iran. Kick the can down the road.
Attacking U.S. forces throughout the Middle East, and of course behind that all Iran. So there's a variety of different ways of trying to contain that. Everybody right now in the world, and I say in that sense also in Israel, nobody here wants a regional conflict. Having said that, this is part of the challenges of how do you contain it.
It's not a matter of what you want. It's a matter of what the divine is pushing for. This is the big thesis of this whole thing. This is not human. These are not human events. This is a divine event that is of a much higher intelligence that you're not going to be able to outmaneuver. The only thing that is going to happen is either complete destruction and world peace is going to be ushered in, or you kick the can down the road and it's going to get even worse. You're being tested. You're being tested. And it doesn't matter what you want. It's been written for thousands of years the way this is going to play out. Now, there is a very strange, and maybe I'll read it in another video. Maybe the next video I do. There's a very strange page in the Zohar talking about these events. And there's a rhythm, there's a hint of it, of the events that are happening here and what is predicted in the Zohar. All right. The problem is that the day of the week that it's supposed to happen on, it didn't happen on that day of the week. So that means that the actual 70-day countdown for the Messianic era, 70-day countdown, all right, didn't happen. But this is a stepping stone for the 70-day countdown. Now, how many years away from it? I don't know. But you have to look at the lunar calendar and how it intersects certain days in the solar calendar. And there's going to be another portal where everything aligns, where there's the 70-day countdown. 70-day countdown, not 70-year countdown, 70-day countdown. So that didn't happen, but it's very reminiscent. And the thing is that the actual 25th day of the 6th month in the lunar calendar coincides this year in 2023 for September 11th.
Time, make sure that you are destroying Hamas capabilities, that you are rescuing the hostages, and what do you do with Hezbollah in Lebanon and the other side of the Israeli border if you don't open up a front there? So it's a complex arena that you need to talk about to be sure that we're safe, that we are protected, that we are defended, that we're doing what needs to be done, which in this case is a very challenging one. Do you open another front or not? Do you wait for Hezbollah to attack or not? And if you don't open that front, what?
Just remember, Burns, this CIA guy, was running JSOC during the Omicron drop.
Do it Hezbollah on the day after. We're all focused on the Gaza Strip. We're all focused on Hamas capabilities, but there is that question there, and that's where both the United States and the international community have really important input into what could happen.
The U.S. military mobilized a nuclear submarine into the Middle East. What's the message here? It's clearly a message of deterrence. Is it deterrence to Iran? You're speaking of other fronts that might be opening.
Sivan, there's no question right now, this is not something just new. The United States has sent the most weaponry capabilities into the greater Middle East. When we say Middle East, it's both on the side of the Mediterranean Sea, that's to the west of Israel, and throughout the Gulf, the Red Sea, surrounding the area of both Yemen and the Persian Gulf, the Arab Gulf. And so we have a lot of U.S. presence in this area. They're not the only international one, but they're the main one. What does a nuclear submarine mean? For me, that is very much looking towards Iran and the Islamic regime of Iran and the way that it is trying to utilize, what a wonderful word, all of its different Shiite proxies against Israel. We're just the little Satan, and against the United States, the big Satan. Those different proxy forces in a country called Yemen, in Iraq, certainly in Syria.
Let me get this straight. Let's look at all the data points that were taking place. The intel on the hospitals and the tunnels, comparing satellite photos in 2010 to now. Burns goes to Israel. Nuclear sub goes to Israel, goes into the region. U.S. nuclear sub goes to the region. You know, that doesn't sound like a really good data points for a de-escalation, right? This is going full bore, and it needs to go full bore. I don't trust Burns at all because of that relationship with JSOC and SAC and you know, CIA part of SAC and the whole infrastructure being able to plan and deploy weapons of unconventional means like biologics. You know, there's something that we need to worry about here, right? But you know, you spin it in the news that Burns, I'm thinking on the top of my head here, you know, so I'm just following my logic here. Burns goes to Israel and there's a sharing of intel. You know, the United States has something the Israelis don't have. The Israelis are, you know, providing, I mean, they stated, the IDF stated that they were given to the UK intelligence and to the US intelligence agencies the video and audio to verify it, of the playback that they did last night. You know, stating that these playbacks were stating that these individuals being held by Hamas, they couldn't escape and go to the south, that they were stealing the fuel, right? So there's probably some intel that's being exchanged, but there may be a nuclear strike on Iran. If we hit Iran, we have to hit it hard and we have to hit it fast, and it needs to get done in 30 seconds, right? You know, this is not going to be a long thing with Iran. It may be, you know, conventional means in Syria and Lebanon, right? But with Iran, this thing has to be hit extremely fast. It has to be blitzkrieg, right? And that may be using nuclear. I don't know. Maybe there's some intel that's happening where Russia is saber rattling, you know, with nuclear weapons, maybe in the region or use of tacticals in Europe, and this is, you know, being some sort of deterrence, because I'm sure those weapon systems that are on the sub not only could reach Iran, but it can reach Moscow. So they're probably strategically, that would be a perfect strategic position to launch a nuclear warhead launch a nuclear warhead from the Mediterranean easily around that area in the north, slightly northwest, or into the east. So a lot has happened in terms of intelligence in the last 24 to 48 hours. That's something that we have to keep in mind. But I don't trust Burns at all, because of that whole relationship with JSOC and SAC and you know, the use of biologics.
Hezbollah in Lebanon and additional groups that are both in Lebanon and in Syria are all right now both attacking and threatening Israel and the United States. When the United States brings here a nuclear submarine, that's looking at Iran. Iran is a country of edging into 90 million people. The Islamic regime have both an enormous Iranian Revolutionary Guard. Many of you have heard of that. In addition, they use all of these different proxies. This is threatening against that country much more than participating in any way with the fight of Israel against Hamas. We're doing that. It could also be of interest looking, as I said, at the proxies of the Iranian presence both in Lebanon and in Syria, Iraq, as I said before, but the focus back towards Iran.
Thank you, Miri Eisen. Please stay with us. We will be back to you for more questions. We move to our I-24 news correspondent in northern Israel, Pia Shtepelbach. Hi, Pia.
Right, good morning, Sivan. This has been a quiet night here in northern Israel, although now, only a couple of minutes ago, several communities here in the Upper Eastern Galilee were asked to stay close to their protective areas, stay in their homes, stay close to their shelters. This is exactly what we've also seen yesterday night before rockets were launched towards that area, especially the city of Kiryat Shmona has been targeted twice with rockets. Each time, 6 of those fell into open areas there in the city, causing only damage to infrastructure there. No injuries reported, as the city, especially of Kiryat Shmona, has been evacuated throughout the past 2 weeks. It is one of the dozens of northern communities that have been evacuated because those skirmishes between Israel and Hezbollah have been constantly increasing since the beginning of the war. Now, yesterday's launch of rockets was claimed by Hezbollah, and that comes after an incident on the Lebanese side of the border. A car was targeted, an airstrike that by Hezbollah is attributed to Israel. 4 people were killed, 3 children and their grandmother, reportedly the family of the journalist. The Israeli military is looking into the incident. We have not received any statement on that incident yet, but Hezbollah there basically threatening to step up their actions. We've been hearing also from the IDF Chief of Staff, Herzi Halevi, that the Israeli forces here in the north are ready for a stronger offensive there. That comes also after yesterday afternoon, an Israeli civilian was killed by an anti-tank missile launched by Hezbollah in the Israeli community of Yiftach, which is right underneath the city of Kiryat Shmona. That is already the 2nd Israeli civilian killed by Hezbollah fire there since the beginning of this war, Sivan.
Okay, and what's expected today on this front? Are we seeing an escalation in the exchange of fire?
Well, after that incident on the Lebanese side where 4 people were killed in a strike that is attributed to Israel, again, the Israeli military has not commented on that yet. An escalation was expected, the reaction coming very quickly with those rockets, several rockets launched into the area of Kiryat Shmona. That front is constantly heating up, and what we're seeing in the rhetoric of Hezbollah and coming also out of these other proxies there in southern Lebanon is that they are transferring, that they have the ability to escalate that front further. They have been mentioning Gaza as a red line, the ground offensive. We haven't seen that escalation, that really full opening of the northern front manifesting yet. But these skirmishes already cause a lot of tension. We're speaking about thousands of Israeli residents being evacuated here. We also do know that several communities on the Lebanese side have been evacuating. Their civilians have fled. So the question is, what would an escalation like this look like? Possibly long-range rockets onto the center of Israel, because this northern front is very much existent here. We are seeing skirmishes in the form of anti-tank missiles and mortar shells being sent from southern Lebanon on a really daily basis. As per protocol, the Israeli military is striking back, causing these skirmishes, and their pace and their intensity has been increasing over the course of the past weeks. What we might expect is a continuation of that, and possibly also an intensification of the pace and also of the measures that are being used. Yesterday, for example, another Hezbollah drone was intercepted by the Israeli Iron Dome on the Lebanese side because the Israeli forces were seeing that it was traveling towards Israel. So we're speaking about several threats that are coming from southern Lebanon. First and foremost, anti-tank missiles, mortar shells, and rockets. But we also have to speak about drones and the very real danger of infiltrations here, especially in the beginning of the war. We've seen several first and foremost Palestinian groups that are trying to infiltrate into Israeli territory here. All these attempts were prevented by the Israeli military here, but that also is part of why these communities have been evacuated, communities that are in a proximity of 5 kilometers to the border. That is also a real threat that Israeli forces here and also residents take into consideration.
Okay, thank you very much, Pia, on our northern border. Next to the border of Lebanon is the town of Metula, where Jews have lived through many wars and conflicts for more than a century. The residents are used to having to evacuate during wartime to make room for the Israeli military. However, this war with Hezbollah and Hamas is different than ever before.
All right, so that's basically the news. There was another IDF soldier that was killed. The rocket hit that not rocket, missile hit, I guess, from the Israelis into Lebanon that killed that family, the 3 kids, the grandmother, in my understanding, the father too. All right. But there's something about that journalist, the father. There's something there. I don't know what it is, but we'll find. It could be that it was wrongfully targeted and it was a failed intelligence. This happens in war. It's not a war crime though. And then, you know, the big thing is nuclear sub going into the region. Burns is there, probably sharing intelligence, right? And I'm concerned about our politicians not going full out. Israel cannot do half war on this. Unconventional means in biologics and chemical, the barriers of entry are so low that that's going to be the next escalation if we kick the can down the road. We have to knock out Hezbollah, Hamas, and Iran. If we don't, we're all going to be in a world of hurt, and we're all being, you know, we're all being judged on this. Right now, the Dow market is up 55 points, S&P 500 almost up 10 points, and there does seem to be an increase, you know, about 60 points or so for the NASDAQ. So right now, the market is it's relatively stable. It's not a big move. It's just stable. It's not moving up. It's not selling off. It's just kind of relatively stable. So that's my news for this segment. Please subscribe to all my channels. I have 3 channels on YouTube. I also have 3 other channels. One is Brighteon. The others are Bitchute and Rumble. Please subscribe to all 6 channels. Share the links. Ask your friends to subscribe so I can reach a larger audience. I have a very unique perspective on many things that are happening in the world. And, you know, it's raw. And sometimes you won't like what I have to say, but it's a unique perspective. Now, I also would like for you to help support my news coverage if you can, especially if you're a foreign watcher, right? And you can't purchase my products. Another way that you can help support my work is to donate. So if you're a domestic viewer or a international viewer, please go to my website, the-studio-reykjavik.com. Again, the website is the-studio-reykjavik.com. The link is in the description of this video and all my videos, so it's easy. Just click the link and I'll take you to my store. On the homepage at the very bottom, you can donate through Stripe or PayPal. You can also donate through Buy Me a Coffee. The link is in the description of this video. That's a great way to help support my work. Another way is to be a paid subscriber for my Patreon channel. And that way it helps to support the news coverage. I take the stance that I want to share my content for free. I don't put stuff behind some sort of paywall, right? So when I'm covering the news and, you know, these are really important things that are happening in your life, either health-wise or, you know, understanding the geopolitics of this crisis, or how the market may change and hurt your portfolio, or change and help your portfolio. I feel as though sharing information for free is the right thing to do. But for that, for me to do that, you know, people would have to help support, and that support is through donations and also through purchasing the products on my store. So the domestic viewers that can get my products in the United States, please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, to be able to improve your health and to support my news coverage. So what you can do, it's the-studio-reykjavik.com, and you can purchase these different health products, and you follow my protocol, and you're going to actually heal your body. You're going to improve your immune system and slow down the aging process. It's based on 3 pillars. The protocol is based on 3 pillars, the core part of the protocol, and then you add to it. The core is neutralize pathogens with structural nanosilvers, reduce reactive oxygen species with strong antioxidants like C60, and bring down inflammation by using turmeric and ashwagandha. Then you add stuff to it like B complex and clarity factor and collagen and D3 and a lot of other stuff, right? But the core, when you do that every day, months on end, what you're going to notice is that you're healing, you're going to be healthier, you're going to have more energy. And when you mix it with proper diet, proper exercise, proper supplementation, proper sleep, and proper mental challenging, you're actually going to age slower. One of the products that you can get on my store that helps to neutralize pathogens is the Health Max 35. It's a 35 ppm structural nanosilver. It's a liquid. I take a teaspoon of it a day, and I swish it in my mouth, I gargle with it, and I swallow it, right? For, 20 seconds in the mouth, and the 20 seconds for the gargling, and then swallow it. Take this every day, teaspoon. If you're not feeling well, take a tablespoon or 2. Turmeric. This will bring down that inflammatory response and help to heal your body. So this is part of the anti-aging protocol. Please go to my store and purchase the turmeric. Another thing that is really important is to control your blood glucose levels. So ashwagandha is a great way to do that, and it'll help to bring down that inflammatory response from those high glucose levels. C60, I sell this in coconut and in avocado. This is the avocado version. I sell it in a 2 ounce, a 4 ounce, and an 8 ounce bottle. And what that does is that it's a very strong antioxidant. You take this every day. I take a teaspoon of it a day. Take it every day. If you work out, take it right before you work out, and your recovery is going to be actually better. Because when you're working out, you're creating more reactive oxygen species, so you need to neutralize them. But your recovery will actually be quicker if you're, really into working out, especially like marathons or weightlifting. But the bottom line here is that you take this every day. It'll neutralize the pathogens. It's potent, and because it's a very strong antioxidant. It's going to create less cellular stress, right? It's going to bring down that cellular stress from those reactive oxygen species. So it's going to bring down that cellular stress, and then it's going to boost up your mitochondrial health, and your ATP is going to increase. That means you're going to have more energy. So take the C60. It's going to neutralize the reactive oxygen species and bring down that cellular stress that causes aging. Aging, a big part of it is we're rusting, we're oxidizing, right? This stops that. This brings down that reactive oxygen species load. Lignans. This is a hormonal supplement for males and females. It'll help to it'll help with ovarian and uterine and prostate health. All right. It has been also found to be a supplement to prevent or to try to mitigate cancer. All right. So, you know, the thing is that if we boost up our immune system, we're building up our ability to fight cancer. We have immune system cells, natural killer cells, that will seek and destroy cancer cells. All right. Everyone has cancer. Everyone has a cancerous cell. Most people that are healthy usually can fight it and it'll kill it off. Some people that have a bad immune system, a weakened immune system, they're getting older or have genetic predisposition, will have higher incidences of cancer. The key here is to try to boost up your immune system and to take supplements that try to mitigate the chances of cancer. So hormonal health is a big part of trying to prevent that cancer from growing. So the idea here is that you take lignans and it will give you proper hormonal health, right? It'll actually help mitigate the hot flashes for females that are postmenopausal. But the reality of the situation is that this is for males and females, and it'll help to boost your immune system. I mix this with my hummus with probiotic. It's a powder. This is a powder and it has a little scooper in it. So you just mix it like in a smoothie, or you put it in water. You know, for me, I put it in hummus, and you know, take it every day. You'll find that there are many benefits for taking this. All right. The idea is to slow down that aging process, boost up your immune system, and by boosting up your immune system, you're giving your body that extra kick to be able to fight those cancer cells. Silver gel. I have two different types of silver gel. I have this product that's in a dispenser, and you can use this as a skincare, right? You put it on your skin, leave it on your skin right before you go to bed, and you wash it off when you get up, right? You'll notice that it'll start to clear your skin, and then in addition, when you put this on your face right before you go to bed, you'll notice that when you wake up, your skin is tighter. Now, you can also put it on a skin abrasion. That'll help to heal it quicker, or a cut, a minor burn, acne, and the same thing on this one. Basically, the difference is that it's two different laboratories. This one is slightly more in ppms. This one I think is 24 ppms, and I believe this one was 30 ppms. 35. This is 35 ppms, and this is 24 ppms. So, you know, you can use this as a skincare product, but also to neutralize pathogens. So both of these, you know, what you would do if you're going through the cold season and you want to try to neutralize pathogens, what you do is you put it around your mouth, around your nose, lightly coat your nostrils, lightly coat your ears and your eardrum, and lightly coat your eyes. You know, close your eyes and lightly coat it. And then, you know, that's good for 5 hours. You know, put it on your hands, right? And you're good to go, and it'll neutralize pathogens. So you're neutralizing pathogens during the cold season with the gels, and you're neutralizing it every day with I take this in the morning. So, but you can, you know, pick the time you want to take it at night. It doesn't matter. But I take a teaspoon of this every day. Another way to neutralize pathogens is taking a structural nano silver soap, or it's not soap, toothpaste. This is the second time I said that. Structural nano silver toothpaste. This structural nano silver toothpaste will whiten your teeth, freshen your breath, reduce that inflammation at the gum line, and it will improve your cardiovascular health. Poor oral hygiene, because of the bacteria in our mouth, if it gets into the bloodstream, can affect our affect our blood vessels, and it can affect our valves in our heart. When you're neutralizing the pathogens, you're reducing that chance. This is a very high quality toothpaste. So please go to my store, get a couple tubes of this or a few tubes of this toothpaste. It is a very high quality product. Helps support my work by buying the toothpaste. You need to brush your teeth anyway, so you might as well help support my work. This has no fluoride in it. So this is the health benefits of this are far exceed, some of these other, crappy toothpastes that are on the market. And this toothpaste is actually better than what Alex Jones sells. Alex Jones sells a good toothpaste. DrPaulCottrell sells a better toothpaste. So go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and purchase the toothpaste that I have on my store. Now talking about soaps, structural nano silver soaps. I have I believe it's 5 different scents. And this is a high quality soap. Great way to support my work. You need to, wash your body, right? But this will neutralize pathogens because of the structural nano silver that's in it. So use this soap. It's a high quality soap. All my products are high quality. Go to the store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and purchase the structural nano silver soaps. We're in cold season still until March in the United States. You need to get lozenges. So I have sweet menthol lozenges. I also have green apple lozenges. Both of those are in the 20 count. And then I also have a product that are drops. I have it in 2 different flavors. The drops come in a 100 count bag, and they are either in blueberry flavor or honey lemon flavor. So try those. Again, it's made out of the structural nano silver and it'll neutralize pathogens. I partnered up with Rainbow Herbals, and we have created these deodorant bars that help to detoxify your body. They're extremely high quality. They're in 2 scents. One scent is the citrus scent, and then the other is peppermint tea tree lavender scent. Very high quality. It's made from essential oils from the Himalayas, all natural. And because of that high quality, it helps to detox your body. So it's a dual purpose. It'll help to detox your body, and it'll help you, as a deodorant. The issue here is that you want to buy products that have multiple purpose, because we have the problems with inflation, with Biden economics. People are having problems with purchasing goods because their buying power is less. Well, you want to buy products that have dual purpose. Like I said before, this silver gel is a dual purpose product. It will help to heal your skin if it's injured. It'll neutralize pathogens when you need to. And then it's also a skincare product that actually helps to improve your skin when you use it every day. Same thing here. This is a dual product. It helps to detox your body, and on top of it is a deodorant. Very high quality. Try it out. Go to the store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get either citrus or the peppermint lavender. I prefer the citrus. I'm not a big fan of peppermint. I don't like peppermint. I've never liked peppermint ever since I was a kid. And that's okay. Some people like peppermint, but DrPaulCottrell doesn't like peppermint. Multivitamin. All right. This is really important to add to the protocol. The reason being, it's easy to digest. This is the way this is made. It's easier to digest. It's easier on your stomach. And on top of it, it has the cofactors, the minerals and the vitamins. These are the cofactors that your enzymes and metabolic processes need to be working properly. If you're low on the minerals and the vitamins, then your processes are going to be subpar. These metabolic processes are going to be subpar. So it's really important to add this to your protocol and take it regularly. So these are some of the products in my store. I have a lot of others like collagen and clarity factor and goodnight formula and B complex, vitamin D and zinc and magnesium, digestive enzymes. I have a lot of really good products that if you just focus on taking them on a regular basis, your body's going to heal, your immune system's going to go up, and you're going to slow down your aging. Thank you for supporting my work, donating, purchasing the products, and sharing the content. Please continue to help support and continue to share the links for me to be able to reach out to more people, to be able to try to help them improve their health so they don't go down the road of the pharmaceutical path. The pharmaceuticals in general, you know, like the statins and the beta blockers and the alpha blockers and the diabetic medication and all this stuff, they have side effects, especially when you're taking it long term. And, you know, and it can be very costly, especially when you get older and you don't have, you know, the same disposable income, right? It's better to invest in your body while you're younger. So when you do get older, you're not stuck on these, and you don't need, you know, these medications because of cardiovascular disease and diabetes and, you know, many other diseases. But those two are very prevalent in the United States. Preventative medicine is medicine. Preventative medicine, when you're following this protocol that I'm talking about, is going to improve your health, improve your immune system, and slow down the aging process. So when you do, you know, reach your later years in life, you're going to be more vibrant, and you're not going to be so dependent on, you know, the traditional pharmaceutical solution because of certain types of diseases that you may start to develop. The whole idea is to invest in yourself now. The earlier the better, because there's this compounding effect in health when you do that. Thank you for listening and have a nice day.